This week, Rivian reaches 1,000 stalls in operation. EV charging comes to the Queensboro of New York City. And Electrify America adjusts their payments ahead of the busy travel season. Let's get into it. So I'm here in the town of Mooresville, North Carolina, which is not to be confused with Morrisville. Morrisville is a part of the legendary Research Triangle Park up near Raleigh. This is Mooresville, which is on the north end of Lake Norman. Charlotte has a big lake called Lake Norman, and it's very popular for housing. Pricing of housing around here is higher as a result of the lakeside access. Nautical industry with boating and whatnot is very prevalent around here. And I was just minding my own business, doing what EV nerds do, trolling government databases for new charging sites. And there was a charge point location. When I pulled it up on Google Maps Street View, it was a vacant plot. And I'm like, what the heck? And so I came here yesterday, and lo and behold, there's two chargers over there that are online, which actually are the ones that populated into the database. But there's 10 stalls, and someone came out. There's a camera over there, and someone came out and introduced themselves and gave me this pamphlet. Briefly going over it, and I'll throw up zoomed in of this. This is the LKN charge spot, and LKN stands for Lake Norman. It's the abbreviation colloquially around here for Lake Norman. And the person who came out, very nice lady, her name was April, said that there's going to be stalls for food trucks, which I'll bring you around and show you. 10 stalls, which are behind me. They have the pendant flags at the street near the sidewalk over there. We're going to go walk around this place in just a second. It's kind of close to Interstate 77. It's going to have a multi-tenant retail facility that is not quite under construction yet. And kind of like a environment that is designed to draw people in order to stay a while. Like, is adjacent to a building over here that has suites for people doing like nails and hair and massage. And then there's another building. Well, let's just go walk around, because this is very interesting. This is one of these new EV charging destination locations, and it's just popped up. I mean, I just stumbled across it yesterday. So let's go walk around a little bit. Okay, so I normally start at the transformer, but boy, is this just a sprawling site. It's going to be a little bit hard to capture it all, but let's go ahead and give it a try. Transformer over here, let's see if the drone is following it. Is. All right. So the transformer is, swing the drone around. Kind of hard to tell. 144380. It actually says 300, but I don't know if that's 300 kVA or what. A little bit hard to tell. It is Duke Energy, but I think it's 300 kVA. Come on, drone. All right, well, we'll go this way. See if you can follow me down here. There you go. Okay, so this is the attached facility or adjacent facility that says Sweet Spot of Lake Norman, and it has independent beauty suites. So people will rent out the suites and then do hair, nails, massage, and a few other things. So this is the same owner, from what I understand, as who's putting in the adjacent facility. And let's just kind of go up to the sidewalk area, because I think that view is worth calling out. Nice lighting. Kind of LED lights around the property. You can see the banners all in the same color palette. Has that kind of spa feel. And then as we cross over into the charging spot, we have the banners for the Lake Norman charge spot, EV fast charging. And it's kind of interesting, it says powered by ChargePoint. And if they're using the ChargePoint logo, they have to have permission to do so. So I'm not quite sure how that partnership works, but they are calling it out on their street advertising, powered by ChargePoint. So there has to be some kind of partnership going on there. And you can see just the sheer walk kind of reveals the size of this place. And as I said yesterday when I came to check to see what was up, I ran into someone who is either affiliated with the owner or works for the owner or something. And she was mentioning these posts here are the food truck posts where they could get electricity and post up and start selling things to people who are charging is the general concept, but there's more. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 food truck posts available. And you can see the whole site is still under construction. It looks like the conduit there is mostly for the charging. I might be wrong, but I think that is charging conduit. And this central spot here is where the multi-tenant retail place is going to be. And the person who I spoke to said that they already have 2 of the 3 spaces spoken for, leases signed or already allocated or something. So once they build it, it'll be occupied day 1 as soon as it opens. And then there's going to be more, I forgot what she said was going to be on the back, but there's more additional amenities in the back over there. And then the actual charging station itself, again, good lighting, same LED lighting as down near the spa area. And just so you all know where we are on the north end of Lake Norman. You come up 77 out of Charlotte and pass by Lake Norman, and it's like the second exit past Lake Norman. Okay, so this one is powered on. This new signage is kind of curious also, powered by Eaton. And the price is time of use with 5 different slots varying between 45 cents per kilowatt hour and 55 cents per kilowatt hour at varying times throughout the day. But powered by Eaton. And we have 1 CCS, 1 CHAdeMO. This is, it doesn't say who makes it. I think this is a Phoenix connector. I might be wrong, but 250 amps, 1000 volts. And we got stub ups for additional. And I understand from speaking to April yesterday that this is all going to be built out. So this is just, I guess they're waiting for additional hardware. But we've got a total of 10 ChargePoint chargers coming, 3 of which are currently active. This one is not, this one is not, this one is, and this one is. And standard CPE 250s, but definitely does the job for people who are trying to post up here and go get their hair cut or nails done, or maybe go to the retail space and hang out for a little bit. And I pitched the idea. I said, hey, if you're looking to have something fun to add to the location, throw in some hoops, because everyone likes to shoot some hoops, and inexpensive add-on amenity to the facility. And she seemed to take that with some interest. Don't know if it's going to actually happen. Of course, I like spending other people's money, telling them what to do with their money, but this looks like to be very well conceived. Obviously, a lot of planning went into this, and it's not a small area. It took a while to walk around. This is a big facility, and I would classify this as one of these new destination charging locations, because it's not just a couple of chargers in the back of a shopping center parking lot. This is built from the ground up as a charging hub with attached retail amenities, and the adjacent facility, which was already here but still kind of is married to it pretty well. Okay, let's get back to the weekly DC fast charger update. So I don't know about you, this excites me not only because there's a very novel idea for an EV charging location coming to my area, but the whole concept of these entrepreneurs looking at EV charging destination as the wave of the future seems to be starting to catch on, and very likely this is going to start to replicate itself across the country. You know, once you get to a certain amount of penetration with electric vehicles driving around, the entrepreneurs start to realize that it's a great way of attracting customers to their property. And I'm sure that there's going to be repeat of this same concept. Obviously there was funding, so there's bank backing for it, and the business plan that was presented obviously made sense. So anyway, let's start off. Rivian, as I said, reached 1,000 stalls in operation. It just so happened a viewer named Mike Mann, who sent me the photos of the Lost Hills Tesla supercharger a couple of weeks ago, was at a Rivian station in Irvine, California that's very new, and sent me these pictures. Thanks, Mike, for sending those along. Always cool to see viewer submitted videos. Sometimes you could jibber jabber and talk about expansion of electric vehicle charging, but it's another thing for a person out there on the other side of the camera who actually is at a station using it in real life. And it is a little bit more demonstrating the impactful nature of the growth of the electric vehicle charging industry currently. Is it really affecting people's lives? And you know, the expansion of a beautiful place like this is going to be around for a decade and have an impact on the community, and a vibrant location in order to hang out. Okay, Electrify America sent me 2 emails this past week. The first one was talking about the changes to their payment. People have been griping a little bit that their payment was a little bit legacy, where you had to bank dollars in order to use it, which they would replenish when it was depleted, sort of thing. Kind of annoying. That way you have dollars tied up in their system when you drive away from the station that will draw you back there. And it was a transparent marketing gimmick, I guess, or something, or maybe their systems were just more easily attuned to that or something. But now they've announced that there will be no account balance. Once your account balance draws down to 0, after that, you'll only be charged for the energy that was dispensed at that specific session. So they're entering the modern era with their payment processing. And it's nice to see Electrify America continue to innovate, adapt, and adjust to changing market conditions. They're definitely finding a path to success and vitality and relevance and long-term sustainability. Definitely looks like Electrify America is here to stay. Additionally, time of use pricing is a new trend in the electric vehicle charging industry. It seems to be something that's catching on more often than not. And Electrify America sent me an email saying that a charging station in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, which is pretty far from here. I'm not quite sure why they sent me this email. So it's one station is that they're referring to getting time of use pricing. Now, all I could infer from this is not a single station. This is going to be happening at multiple stations. They're rolling out a new time of use plan at multiple stations across their portfolio of locations. To what extent, I can't really say, but it looks as though time of use is going to become increasingly prolific at Electrify America as well, which I appreciate. As a old man American, I always get up at ungodly o'clock, and I'm typically, if I'm traveling, filling up at a charging station well before you all are even thinking of crawling out of bed and getting your first cup of joe. I'm pretty much well down the road by that time. So I kind of like the time of use pricing. Early bird specials for electrons is something that definitely interests me, and I'm pretty good at adapting and taking advantage of. EVgo had been doing that for a long time, a couple of years at least, and I found I was able to adapt pretty well to the lower slots in the time of use rate deck pretty easily, and then just drive through the day when things were, more expensive and congested, and then try to charge outside of those busy times. So it's good for them because then they kind of spread the load out a little bit, and it's good for me because I get a lower price of electrons. Now, obviously, there's sometimes if you're doing a long road trip that you can't avoid, a 6 p.m. fill up, but regardless, it's something to keep in mind that it actually is quite helpful, and many CPOs are doing that nowadays, Electrify America included. Next, I was notified by YouTuber Wisconsin that the Wisconsin Department of Transportation had a post about a new station. Let me just read this really quick. In case you missed it, Wisconsin DOT Secretary Christina Boardman joined the Forest County, this is a Indian word, Potawatomi community last week for a grand opening celebration at the site of a new electric vehicle charging station. So Wisconsin has quite a few reservations. This is one of them. The EV charging station is the first in the U.S. to be installed on tribal lands with funding from the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program. It's one of 78 projects awarded so far at fuel retailers, grocery store, hotels, restaurants throughout the state as part of the effort to build out reliable network charging stations on heavily traveled routes. Now, one thing about this, it's got a canopy, a really nice full canopy. None of this half canopy here. There's a full canopy, 4 stalls on tribal lands, just no expense spared, absolutely beautifully looking. And Jay, who runs the Wisconsin EV channel, I was asking him because on the canopy it says Fireside. And I said, what's Fireside? And he said it's the Indian tribe brand. Their slogan is Keepers of the Fire. Beside the one up in Crandon, they have another Red E site in Slinger, Wisconsin, and a proposed location for Brown Deer, Wisconsin. They claim 15 chargers with 19 ports at 6 sites, and they have both AC and DC. So the tribe seems to be embracing electric vehicle charging, and rightly so, because if you're on a reservation, it's a little bit easier to get electricity close to your community than it is to have tanker trucks bring in gasoline. So it actually is, for these areas that are extremely remote, like tribal lands, reservations, and places really off the beaten path, like the agro industry, I would have to imagine at some point is going to catch on to electrifying transportation for agro production. You're far away. I used to live in a very remote area. When you're really far away from a gas station, it's kind of a pain to have to drive, 20, 30 minutes to the closest gas station to fill up, and then you burn off your gas as you're driving back home. Instead, if you could just fill up at your homestead, it just makes a lot more sense. And eventually, I'm thinking that's going to start catching on. I don't know if that is their intention here. Obviously, it looks to be part of the travel corridor build out that's occurring in Wisconsin, but just in general, remote places, I think fits well for electric vehicle charging, at least in my opinion. Next, EVgo announced into social more NACS supported locations. They were traditionally a CCS only with some kind of CHAdeMO dongle at some of their locations offering 50 kilowatts, but basically CCS CPO, but now they're embracing NACS. And I'm just going to run down this really quick. 8 more EVgo Northern California locations now have NACS. These high-powered 350 kilowatt chargers now offer seamless charging for Tesla or other NACS-compatible EVs. Look for yellow signage, that's their indicator, on the charger or filter for NACS on the EVgo app to easily find them. Locations are in Sacramento on Riviera Drive, Sacramento on Arden Way, Carmichael on Macroney Avenue, Elk Grove on Stockton Boulevard, Rancho Cordova on Sunrise Boulevard, Rockland on Sunset Boulevard, Redding on Hartnell Avenue, and it doesn't say the name of the city for the last one, but anyway, I'll post up here the image of the post in social, and you could see them and dial those in if they are close to you. So the expansion of NACS in the EVgo portfolio continues, principally in California. Now, the reason why it's happening in California is EVgo is very heavily presenced in California. So just basically if they randomly pick stations out of their portfolio, more likely than not, it's going to be a California location. Next, this past week, Rivian happily sailed past the 1,000 stalls in operation mark, which we should all celebrate. Congratulations, Rivian, getting into 4 digits of stalls in operation, which always is a landmark time. They passed 100 stations a while ago, which I think was very significant, but now they've also reached 1,000 stalls in operation, and just in time for the summer travel season. And as we saw in Mike's pictures, they too are also very heavily embracing NACS. That was primarily a NACS station there in Irvine, California. And so congratulations to Rivian. I mean, the growth is continuing. There's somewhat of a murmuring in the background that the EV industry is beleaguered because of the taking away of the tax credit has caused a decrease in sales, but we're starting to see a rebound faster than expected. And I actually think things are going to start picking up here pretty soon. I'm thinking Q3 instead of, I was thinking Q4 or Q1 before we would be back into double-digit market share of like 10% market share. I was thinking like Q1 was a safe bet and Q4 was a maybe, but now I'm thinking even Q3 might be not out of the question when we start to see the increase of sales, because from what I'm hearing, sales are going pretty good. Especially Tesla seems to be doing really well, which is a story in and of itself. Next, IONNA loves billboards. They've really embraced them, and I'm a big fan. I mean, I can't see why not. And this is a double whammy for me because there is a new rechargery coming to a confluence of interstates, of Interstate 4 and Interstate 75 in Tampa, in a town called Seffner, Tampa metropolitan area, in a town called Seffner, that had a little bit of difficulty finally getting open, but apparently it is because they put up a billboard for that one. I'm excited because I'm actually going to this station. I'll be recording a video once I get there. Probably about 3 weeks from now, I'll be at this station, and it's one of the largest, I'm not sure if it is the largest, but it's one of the largest IONNA rechargeries in their portfolio. And as I said, at the confluence of 2 interstates, Interstate 4 and Interstate 75, at a terrific location, built from the ground up, greenfield, they own the property, all that fun stuff, and they put in a billboard with a manatee holding a charging cable, and in this case, it's an NACS cable, just to kind of follow the trend of the week, I guess. So we got a manatee, and it says high-speed EV charging, even if you aren't in a hurry, because if you're not familiar with manatees, they move incredibly slow. They're just kind of floating around there. Rechargery at exit 10. So we have the Seffner Rechargery officially opening and a welcoming billboard in order to attract customers to it. Congratulations, IONNA. That is pretty impressive. Lastly, the New York Power Authority posted into Queens, and I picked it up off LinkedIn because Steve at the Plug and Play EV YouTube channel liked it, and I follow Steve, so it kind of like a cascading effect there. And let me just read this, because this I think is rather significant. The New York Power Authority runs the Evolve New York Electrify America commercial CPO that is very prolific through the state of New York. New York Power Authority in New York City recently opened a new Evolve New York fast charging sites. Opened new Evolve New York fast charging sites for electric vehicles in Bayside and Rosedale. And if you're not familiar with that, those are areas within the borough of Queens, New York City. So that's 2 in Queens, New York City, which is a notoriously difficult place to find locations to put electric vehicle charging. So one of the reasons why the metropolitan area of New York City is not is behind in electric vehicle charging is because it's very difficult to find locations. But New York Power Authority put in 2, Bayside and Rosedale. A Sunnyside location, which is another location inside Queens, is coming in June. Rockaway Park is next, and DeBeaters and Steinway will begin installation later this year, for a total of 5, by my count, of new Evolve New York stations in Queens. New York Power Authority's collaboration with the New York City Department of Transportation will ultimately bring 66 chargers to 10 New York City sites as part of the Evolve New York network throughout the New York state. Very, very impressive. Getting more pips on the map around New York City. Thanks for watching.